When 3 people were arrested in Moscow for not following a city ordinance limiting public gatherings in the middle of a pandemic, we called it a protest masked as a psalm sing. Well, a federal judge just called it unlawful, an unlawful arrest, saying they shouldn't have been arrested in the first place and ruled against the city in a lawsuit filed by the trio. So here's what happened. On a Wednesday in late September of 2020, Christ Church in Moscow held what they called a psalm sing in the parking lot of City Hall. Nearly 200 people showed up to protest the city extending its public health emergency order against mass gatherings without masks through the end of the year. This wasn't the first time Christ Church has held a psalm sing protest, but this was the first time anyone was arrested at one, which is how Gabriel Wrench, one of those arrested for violating Moscow's mask order and resisting arrest, described it to us the next day.
I mean, I think they wanted to make an issue out of it. They wanted to flex their muscles because we already done psalm sings in the past, and so they wanted to make an example out of it. And so they warned us that they were going to either cite us or take us to jail. The reason why they took me to jail is because I wouldn't give them my driver's license. And I said, you don't have to do this. And so he kept asking for my driver's license, and I just kept kind of preaching to him. And then he said, I'm asking you one more time. He asked me one more time, and then he arrested me.
Well, 4 months later, in January 2021, those misdemeanor charges were dismissed by a Latah County judge, a motion actually filed by the city attorney. Wrench and his attorney claimed he and the others arrested had their liberties violated and their lives disrupted by the inappropriate actions of law enforcement and city officials who didn't correct this unlawful arrest. So they sued, and they won. The city wanted a ruling in their favor without a trial, but U.S. District Judge Morrison England disagreed, saying church gatherings were excluded from Moscow's order against mass gatherings. And he based that on the original emergency order issued by the city on March 20th of 2020, which explained the city's emergency powers. It included exclusions, those exempt from such emergency orders unless otherwise specified, specifically prohibited by a public health emergency order enacted by the mayor. Any and all expressive and associative activity that is protected by the United States and Idaho constitutions, including speech, press, assembly, and/or religious activity, that would be exempt, it said. Even though the order issued 4 days later by the mayor specifically prohibited gatherings in groups of 10 or more within city limits, and that order shall also apply to, quote, any and all expressive and associative activities, including assembly and church and religious or organizational activities. Well, that order would be extended a few times. It would include a mask mandate beginning in July, which is what the church group was protesting. The judge ruled the original ordinance, which explained the city's emergency powers, superseded the public health order 4 days later because such conduct, religious activities, was not explicitly addressed in the order itself, and therefore they were not required to wear a mask or to distance. The judge also ordered the judge also ordered the lawsuit to go to a settlement conference.